Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm grateful to be in good company.
Yes, so am I.
Nicole, how do you do?
Finally made it. I'm good. I'm very glad to be here.
Yes. Now, not to jump the gun, but astrologically speaking, isn't your sun and my sun 180 degrees opposite one another?
Probably, if you say so.
This is the case.
Yeah.
So it's like a full moon with two suns
So what does that mean?
who have a solar opposition.
And what does that mean?
We find ways to trigger each other's ego.
Yeah, but we also see each other.
We lift each other's creativity up as well,
Mm-hmm.
and support each other's hearts within the dynamic of Capricorn, where my sun is, and
Cancer.
where Nicole's sun is. Which is the dynamic of the Cancerian interior connection which we cultivate to support ourselves. Whereas Capricorn is...
Capricorn to me is rational, fun, logical, stable, structured, more or less depending on what else is going on in your life and in your chart.
Well, Cancer is also feelings, right? And feeling security, and even that we can depend on this area within ourselves. It's like sanctuary.
Triple Cancer.
Triple Cancer.
Cancer in the sun, moon, and rising.
It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
You haven't only just got that, have you?
I have Cancer also in Jupiter.
Uh-huh.
And somewhere else. I think that's it, maybe.
I think you might have seen a little bit. You definitely got Jupiter there as well, yes.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
So Jupiter's in its favorite sign. That's an exalted Jupiter, which is really powerful. Jupiter only spends 1 year in a sign, and when it's there, if it's exalted, like the sun's favorite sign is Aries, where the sun is at the moment. And Venus's favorite sign is Pisces. Well, Jupiter's favorite sign is Cancer. So it gives you this quality of extra depth. If you didn't need it already with the sun and the moon, because you're born actually just after a new moon, maybe just about a day into it. And so you bring this quality of exalting and guruing. You're guruing people, if that's a word.
I am.
Yeah. You're schooling people.
So maybe we should tell people who I am, in case they don't know. You want to tell?
How would you introduce yourself?
I'm Nicole. I live in Tulum right now. Philip's neighbor, basically, we live in the same neighborhood. And we've known each other for more than a year now. I think we met around last year in February. Last year, February, maybe a bit earlier than that. And I teach yoga. I teach yoga, breathwork, meditation. Philip goes to my classes every Tuesday. We see each other in my class. And
it's a reliable fixture in my rituals and routines that offers me stability and tranquility and allows me to find myself within myself so that I can perform at my best for the rest of my day.
Yeah, it's nice to have you in my classes. And we met, the first time we had a really, like a proper conversation was in February last year.
On the Leo full moon. It was the day of the Leo full moon.
I don't know, maybe it was, because I know all the things that happened last year in February was a quite intense month for me. So it might have been that it was just the beginning of March. Actually, I'm not 100% sure. So like sometime around that, and you told me a lot of things about my chart, my astrology, a lot of things that I didn't know before. And So I learned I'm a triple Cancer. I have the Venus in Taurus, Aries in Mars, Mars in Aries.
Yeah, so basically, it's funny because Cancer is the sign of the home.
Yeah.
And there's in the terminology in astrology is when planets have their favorite signs and they have their home signs. And so the sun's home sign is Leo, right?
Okay, yeah.
Whereas the moon's home sign is Cancer.
Yeah.
Well, you have Venus at home in Taurus, and you have Mars at home in Aries as well.
Yeah.
So you bring extra home.
Extra home. Yeah.
With energies in their domicile position. We call it domicile as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is a special quality which you bring in a lot of areas of your life.
And so what does this mean? Like, how does it feel like to other people, actually?
Well, I imagine that what they are learning about is maybe a reflection, actually. What they learn is not necessarily so much about you, maybe initially.
Yeah.
Because you're so lunar, and the moon is a reflective quality. And so they might learn more about where they have their blocks.
Okay, so like a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But then when we feel through these things, we learn to open up. So that's the gift that you offer, one of your greatest gifts, one of the greatest gifts that people can receive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're kind of mirrors, aren't we? All a little bit of mirrors to each other.
I think we're miracles in yes.
Miracles.
Yeah, actual. That's the definition of us.
Yeah.
It's mad that we skipped that part in the schooling process.
Yeah.
Miracles, eh? Who'd have thunk it? But you definitely are. Like, especially when we have particular people where we have an opposition or a conjunction. But I go to the gym with a great guy who's got the sun at the same degree as me. So he's going to have an opposition to you. I don't know if you guys have met, but we have these dynamics where we learn from people and they play out in different ways. So like, you probably have met a few people who've got birthdays similar days of me.
Yeah.
And so these things can be beneficial because we have each zodiac sign is like a school, and each person's like a whole universal mystery school, university. And so we study with each other. That's why they say go study. And we have these different connections with one another where we can learn all about the different bits that we as individuals have missed through the tapestry of our interminglings.
Yeah. So we have Mars and Cancer. Do you want to talk about that? I mean,
I think you'd be more direct about talking about it than I would be.
Because I can talk about my experience, I guess.
Oh yeah, how do you feel with Mars and Cancer? So you talk about Mars and Cancer at the moment?
I can share how I feel, how I felt the last couple days or the last week, because it's been Mars has been in Cancer for a while.
I think, yeah, this is a really good, it's good for me as an astrologer to get feedback from the different people who have energy in different signs. And so for Cancer people to learn from your perspective what this transit is of Mars, having actually already gone over your moon, and it's still going to move forward and go over your Sun and your Jupiter in the coming weeks. So what's your experience been?
Well, it's always really emotional. Being a triple Cancer, it's always about emotions and dealing with the different emotions and kind of accepting them and going with the flow. And so the Mars in Cancer has been in some moments really intense, like too much pressure, working in a not relaxed way, like pressure in the things that I'm working on. So I guess having Mars and Aries might contribute to that, because my Aries is in my work house.
Yeah, the 10th house where Aries is for Cancer people, and where you have your Mars.
Yeah.
So this is ruled by Mars. Mars is the dispositor. So wherever Mars goes, it's going to carry this energy of the work. And because it's in your first house, it's how you identify particularly, that's what Mars is already about, how strongly you identify with your feeling or feeling at home with yourself while you do these things, while being busy and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so this has changed a lot. I was really pressured about doing the things I'm doing. Like I was editing my website, I was
Ideal for this kind of transit for you.
yeah.
It's sort of about your portfolio.
Okay, interesting. So I was doing that, and then in the last couple of days, I almost did it every day. I was working on the online stuff pretty much every day. And yesterday was the first day in the evening where I said I'm not working anymore. And I just watched a movie. And at the same time, it's really accelerating. So it's energizing. So it's not just pressure and intensity that's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's also like, I feel like we often maybe tend to interpret like whatever is happening in astrology a bit like as a challenge, or maybe even like with a little bit of a, you know, like a mindset like this is happening to me, but you can feel the energy and you can maybe transform that energy and make it work for you, because I don't believe that anything works against you, it works for you. So I kind of thought about that whenever I notice the pressure, and I can have the awareness that I'm working and I'm feeling pressured and it's not necessary because nobody's making me work. I decide to work whenever I want. I'm doing my own stuff. And so
this is a really good way of utilizing it. So like if this is other ways of taking the pressure off and alchemizing, if you're done with work, I'm done with working, but this energy's still here. It's like, well, then you might go for a cycle. You might go to the gym. You might do some kickboxing. Mars, like all about that. But like, I've got Mars in Pisces. I'm not about that.
Ooh, what does that mean?
So when the guy in the gym
Fish
tells
on
me to do,
fire.
the guy in the gym telling me to do the boxing, I'm like, I'm dreaming. It's like doing the boxing is still something I'm not quite used to. But like, it's like you practice it and you become more assertive.
It's about you, Mars and Pisces.
Yeah, it's dreaming. And so like you need something to ground. For me, I need to ground into the body to be able to be actionable. But for you or for people with Mars, so we're both. I've got a water Mars. It gets steamy if you don't do things when you need to do it. This is the point of the alchemy. You need to do the action.
I
Otherwise,
feel like that's true for me too, though. Like if I don't do things, and I've been learning this the last month, like listening to the longing, like when I feel like I want to do something, and but it comes from a place like a deep desire that I want to publish something, or I want my website to look a certain way, and I have to kind of channel that, the fire, the energy into like doing it in an effective way. Like I'm using the energy, but also not overdoing it and just like spending 2 hours on a computer in front of a screen because I'm being a perfectionist. So that's like when it gets out of balance. So then coming back to like, I can use my energy wisely because we only have so much energy anyway, like whatever you're doing.
yeah, and it's I think recognizing that if you do things in haste or from a position of depletion, then those actions, those seeds, we're always just sowing seeds all the time. They're going to bloom with the depletion. So they're going to have that within they were sown in that. So when you're feeling depleted, this is what I'm learning from my human design friends. It's about.
We can talk about that too.
We could talk a little bit about it for sure. Like I'm not, it's not my expertise, but I'm learning, and I think it's good to express.
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about work and we're talking about the energy at work. And so my energy is the energy of a manifester, which means I don't have a lot of energy. So which is just another reason of like having the Mars in Cancer now and the Aries and Mars together. But I still, like as a manifester, I'm not a generator. I cannot generate a lot of stuff like most people can. Like 80% or whatever it is of people are generators.
So yeah, like I think I noticed like how I can stir up a bit of energy if I'm feeling a little bit like I haven't got much, and this I'm absolutely stooped out, done. If I, for instance, I might be like, hey, I need to get in the mood for something, then I can put on a few bits of music or do something, and then I'll be like, maybe go for a cycle for just 10 minutes, and it changes the tempo or the pulse.
Yeah.
Tempo.
Yeah.
And so the rhythm is like very important what we're putting into things.
Yeah.
because it carries an energy and we want it to be like seeded in a way which is potent. So if we relax, we're honoring. Also, like sometimes we feel conditioned to go along with a certain way, a certain manner, and
Yeah. Or habits, like old habits. I definitely have that. The habits from a corporate job and working in marketing and like doing this thing, like I have to be efficient and
yeah, our national programs,
national too, German
like
German conditioning, very intense work culture, like letting go of all like I'm learning to like let go of the stuff that does not serve me, but using the stuff that does serve me, because there's stuff that is like helpful, like structured efficiency, but at the same time going with the flow, and also using the skills of a Cancer, of using the intuition, like what do I feel like doing, not what is my brain telling me. Maybe that's a big difference of how most people work, I feel like, compared to how I work, and like more people start to work that way, like doing the work that you feel like doing. But not of a sense of like laziness or like staying in your comfort zone, but like doing the work you like doing because there's like a deeper connection to it.
yes,
So what we are both doing in our lives already.
the passion of the, like it's got to be passion, right?
Yeah, doing what we love.
Why you know the end, like it's only through our conditioning feel that we have to, which is real, it carries a lot of weight, that does, because of situation, circumstance, real life scenarios where there's pressure to show up. And yet actually, if you're actually positioned in a fortunate enough situation where you are able to explore the things that you're passionate for, right, then you can be incredibly grateful for that chance.
I believe we all can do that.
You have to position yourself there, right? A bit like
you have to choose, you have to, we all have choices. I really believe we all can choose.
it wasn't by luck that we found ourselves in this position. It's by having to work towards it for years and position and persevere and dedicate.
Yeah.
And it's those were hardships and squeezes.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a few things in common here. Like we're both living, when we're doing different things, but we have similar lifestyle in a way. Like we both work for ourselves, not for somebody else.
Which is awesome. And I recommend it.
And challenging at the same time.
But like
we had similar challenges too.
It's like there's lots of people that will be watching my YouTube channel that and maybe on Instagram on your channels, and that are actually on the precipice of making, shan't I bet go all in on my self-passion? Shan't I, how can I, will it be able to support me? Will it take me? You know, like a craft, like we want to support our weight and our foundation or our family even. You can't support my family too, can it? Or maybe you can.
The question is, do you have to? Like what part of that is again just cultural conditioning of whatever you have to. Yeah,
I'm still learning along this that there can be so many more multiple ways to secure the abundant flow. It's just the mindset that we're unblocking.
yeah.
But it's come a long way. It's for the fact that we can be in this position because and we're helping for timelines, all of us, like from our parents and for the people that will come after us, you know.
Yeah. So we're both living in Tulum. We both do our own projects. We organize events. We both organize events to a certain extent in different ways, and we check in with each other. I guess we can really relate to each other because we're going through those similar things, but like the content is different, like what you are doing and what I'm doing is different, but yeah, we're still like we're still both independently like looking for our ways of how to make it work, like without a template, or like we're not following somebody else's steps or a certain structure.
This is interesting because it's like each one of us choosing ourselves is a path which has not been beaten before, which is like when you walk through a field with really tall grass, when a path's been beaten, that phrase means that it's already been trodden and you can see it. You're following someone else's footsteps. We're not following anyone else's footsteps. So sometimes you go around in circles, but sometimes you like, you know, coming into the dead ends and having to deal with the scenarios. And sometimes you have to go slow, sometimes it's so fast, you're like, geez, the weeds, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't see the next person who is following for ages, and like even there. And then you see them, and then it's the same in front, because we're following a few people also just to know a little bit. And they're so far away sometimes. Sometimes you can see them and you can chat.
Yeah.
This is the analogy which is running away from me in itself, but you get my point, right?
Yeah. And I'm wondering if we ever can walk on somebody else's path, really.
Yeah, it's only just to learn a few things, and then we get circled back around to our own.
Your own path.
Yeah.
Like we are, like you're walking your path, I'm walking my path, and right now we're doing something together, but each one of us is still on their own path.
For sure. I like a good friend of mine said sometimes, like when it comes to other people's things, we borrowing little bits from other artists, each other's performance that we enjoy, and we're adding and adorning ourselves which fit us, and we can make it our own. Like eat the fruit and like spit out the pits. Like this bit doesn't work, fit me.
Yeah.
And that's like a lot of allowing and accepting for us to be maybe mispresumed. It's something I really struggle with and work on, is the allowing someone to perceive of us in a way which is completely, utterly different to how we feel that we are.
Which is out of your control, how other people perceive you.
Yeah. So you just have to fully let go and embrace self and detach at that stage. And this is the biggest challenge. But it's like what you do, if it's self-respect, like, and respect for the other, it's self-respect, right? Otherwise it's like a dog pandering at the door, right? I try to convince someone of like, no, this is who I am.
No, you don't have to convince anyone.
Exactly, because it's self-acceptance.
Yeah. We can talk about feelings and relationships, our favorite topics to talk about.
You do workshops on how to do clarity in emotional communication, right?
Yeah. Actually, I have also Mercury and Gemini.
Yeah, it's another home
sign. On a side note.
Another home sign.
Yeah. So yeah.
But these things are also in different houses as well. So because you have Mercury in the 12th house, this is the Nefaric channel, and your messages are for the collective as well.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, and you're much more humanitarianism with regards to your relationships, your qualities, your skills, with Venus there in the 11th house, all about the community and all that kind of thing.
That's the Venus and Taurus. Yeah.
And you have a Venus return in about 48 hours.
Which I don't know what that means.
It means that you have Venus returning to the same degree as that which Venus was the moment of your birth.
And so what is that gonna, like, what is the energy of that? What does that mean?
It can just slip by and then it's going to go into Gemini. And so that's the way that is, basically. But it's like just a new cycle for you and your personal connection to how you share your value. And we're putting out this video around this time. I'm recording this video at this time, so it's making sense. And like, also the sun is like right there with your Mars at this time, activating a lot. So it's like we have our moments, and so this is a powerful time for Cancerians because everything is on the top of the sky. Even when things leave, though, over the course of the coming months, and we get into that other next season, your season, Jupiter's staying up here, top of the sky. So the adventure's continuing. Dun, dun, dun. It's exciting, right?
Yeah. And so talking about relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have guided workshops in conscious relating, which is a lot about communication and basically expressing your feelings. So very Cancerian topic. And
it's key, right? So I like to say a lot of the time that the frequencies, they are the keys, and they're not something we observe. I mean, you look great, lovely, earrings, beautiful color coding scenarios, same. But the point is, these are observations of ours, and to check in on our feelings, we have to converse, connect, and just get clear through that communication, right?
Yeah, and communication can be challenging because our thoughts get into the way and other people's thoughts, and like we get
Beliefs and expectations and fears.
Oh yeah, different emotions. So we can communicate from fear, we can communicate from love, or from courage, and it's gonna be a different. It might be a completely different thing that you're saying or that you're choosing to communicate.
And also, like some words, even if they're expressed with feeling and depth, and in a sentence, they can still be misconstrued because we have different backgrounds or belief about certain words, especially when you're coming from different nationalities, which is why I feel like to come into relation with different people from different backgrounds is really healthy, really so useful for us.
Yeah. And you never know how they will perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
Like people perceive on the level of their consciousness, their experience. Perception is based on your past, like whatever you experienced in the past is going to influence how you perceive what somebody tells you. If you perceive that as negative or positive or judgmental, it's going to depend on if you had a similar experience with someone else and they said something similar. And so you have like a whole story in your head and you're going to have a different reaction. So we don't know.
This changes everything, right? So that our own self-talk, of what we're thinking, our guilts, our shames, what we're casting onto other people, and what we're really, our opinion is because maybe someone didn't get back to us, but they might have. This is so many different reasons for these things. Some people might be just having so many different scenarios, and we might be having so many different assumptions and projections. It's insane world because it's all mental. But yeah, we can get a little more clear through the communication, right?
Yeah, we communicate a lot with each other,
Which
so it's interesting.
Is useful, right?
Yeah, and especially because you're Capricorn, I'm Cancer, so we're opposite each other, and it's like a mirror. You said before that we can really see each other because astrologically we're like opposite of each other, and I really feel that, to be honest. Like when I meet you, I'm like, I feel how you're feeling, or maybe that's the Cancer part of me.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm having like a vulnerable day, I feel a little bit more vulnerable knowing that you can see how maybe sad I might feel that day because I'm like, when you're fun and sad, although I don't mind you seeing me, like the rest of the room knows because they can see the empathy on your face, maybe potentially.
Yeah.
So that's something which is I'm conscious of.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, no, I feel like it's nice if you're able to be seen and to actually feel seen, and then whatever, if you have your own, if you have self-judgment, well, that's your own stuff. Right?
Yeah, it's not too bad, but like, you know,
talk to each other, and then with you, we notice our own judgments. We had that.
oh, but yeah, but we
also
get to witness.
a week ago. We were talking. We were having a conversation on the phone. And I think you said, what was it? Like moon was the Cancer moon, Mars, like something was happening.
Oh, the moon was probably with Mars. That was oh yeah, then
You remember?
these things aren't irregular. But when they happen, they're fun. But
in the moment they're not so fun, but this is
we got better at sorting them out. So
and
this
we learned from it.
And it's useful to know how to get out of entanglement because the entanglements are off the mind, but they make you heated when things like Mars get involved. And so we know in general in life, when we're having a transit like that, you know, okay, well, what's my protocols? How can I give a space? How can I take time for self so that we can respond with clarity, like, and know that maybe the other person might be pissed off as well because the Mars is there going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like I was like, okay, this is cool. And we take our moments.
Yeah, I feel like we learn from each other that way. And that's how we are mirrors too. Mirrors.
It's useful because then we might learn I might learn like where I might jump to the gun and have to respond a little bit better due to,
We're talking about honesty too.
yeah,
Honesty and trust.
you're a catalyst.
Big the little things in life, honesty, trust, and love.
Yeah, you help me refine. This is what we help each other do, right? We help each other refine so we can show up as our best.
Yeah.
And this is powerful when we find key people in our lives that allow ourselves to help each other out like this and reflect.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because it shows us where we're able to recognize how far we've come, as well as how much we can continue to alter and shift and become even more refined, like how we would like to be. And accept that it's okay to be a little bit like in the process too, right?
Yeah. We're all having our own processes, everybody walking their own path.
We can be so crude on ourselves, like we can be a little harsh on ourselves when we do things which is not the way that we might have wanted to do. For instance, oh my god, I just had a whole pizza last night. I know I've been working on that, and yet, you know, we can be a little hard on ourselves sometimes with the small, silliest of things, right?
You had a whole pizza last night?
I didn't, but there's so many times that I do. I don't know if I had a whole one. I think I left it.
What did I have last night? I had tacos last night.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, street tacos, Mexican street tacos.
best.
Then I got some chicken, probably one of the few yoga teachers who eats meat. So I had that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love how you meat eaters love to vouch for yourselves.
I feel like we all, you know,
Got to stick together.
whatever you feel like your body needs, whatever you feel like nurtures you.
I agree. Like also, if I was in the UK, like, and I had the opportunity, the way of old ways of doing things, like I certainly would have a bacon sandwich with cheese while I was there, you know, even though I don't go for these things all the time. You know,
You're not eating meat anymore.
most of the time I'm eating vegetables, but sometimes I'm eating the cheese as per the pizza, as we distinguished a moment ago.
So what else do we want to share with the people? Talked about
how communication is so vitally important, and working through our feelings and ways that allow ourselves to be known, and being honest and open with our communications with ourselves and with each other. Because if you don't feel honest and open, firstly, it's felt, right? Because it's a vibration. It might not have to be observed. And we have blockage in our throats too. And so one hears the feelings when they're spoken and when they're enunciated, right?
yeah, you can feel the vibe, even if something is not being said, you might feel the vibe. I feel like you can, you know, just ask me some questions that you would ask a triple Cancer.
Yeah.
Well, what might people want to know?
What do you have to say, firstly, to all of men?
All of the men.
Yeah, all of the men who are listening to you, who want to open up and share their feelings and connect with themselves and with their brothers and with their sisters.
Okay.
And so that's question one. And question two
So what
is with the ladies. Like,
what is the question then?
so the question is, how do we open up? How do we, when we're so scared of thinking that actually, if I say that, I've lost it. I've lost the job. If I say that I've got this thing, which is really important, facet, I can't tell them I like that music. They'll be off out the room. I won't have a place to sleep. You know, whatever it is. If we've got fear about something, what if it's about saying, hey, I don't like the way that you speak to me like that. I've got to tell you because I speak to you every day, and the way that you speak to me like that, no bueno. It's not happening anymore. I have to tell you something about it.
So the question is, how do you express your feelings basically without fear? Is that the question?
Yes.
For men.
But well, now it's for everyone.
First.
It was going to be for men and then for women, but now I think it's relevant. That's relevant for everyone, isn't it?
it's relevant for everyone. It might feel different for men and women, because I feel like we still have a difference between how men express their feelings and how it's culturally accepted for a man to talk about sadness or anger. Still different from how it is for a woman to talk about when she's sad. A woman can cry, it's kind of more normal than when a man cries, even though it should be okay for both, shouldn't matter.
I think also like the for me, it's the manner, isn't it? The manner of crying, because we can all cry gracefully, and I think we can all cry like bloody, like it could be hysterical, right? And no, and obviously those hysterical moments is when you're really gutturally feeling. And if you're not in that temperament, if you're not expecting it, it's like, goodness gracious me, it's quite a show. You want to be in a private space for that, right? You don't want to be howling in the middle. But like, if you see someone who is
talking about crying with the cancer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly. So if I see someone crying, I'm not going to start walking up to them going laughing. Like my is like, I need to be able to provide a space for that person. You know, it's this energy, isn't it? It's like, hey,
maybe you can. So
maybe you can't. Like if you don't have the energy, you don't go approaching that situation. Like,
and you don't have to. So here is my response, I guess, like to the people. So when you're sharing something vulnerable, so talking about fear, let's talk about fear. So we pick one thing, and how do you express that feeling when you are scared to express it, basically, right? That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I had this.
So there are like a couple layers to that. There is you have that fear to express it. So asking yourself, why do you have that fear to express your feeling? Number one is shame. Shame is like a whole huge topic. Like, where does shame come from? From your limiting beliefs, from things that happened to you in the past, from your childhood, your culture, whatever. Like, different cultures have different types of shame, like reasons why you should be ashamed of whatever you're doing.
Or even a past instance. Like sometimes, for instance, that you get burned by doing something, like just even simply making pancakes, and it carries an emotional twang with it, and you don't go back to making pancakes for years, right? You might even have a similar instance in a relationship. Like you come out and you said you liked your favorite music, the partner which you put a lot of investment in out the door.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it's going to happen every time that you bring the music out or make pancakes. So we find that actually approaching with cautious compassion and allowing ourselves to actually experiment with where we have had that fear take place before, maybe we can rewrite that story and know that it's not going to happen every time. We're not going to get burned every time. People aren't going to walk out the door.
Maybe you will get burned, but then what is going to happen? You're not going to die.
Yeah.
So, and that's basically what happens. So if either you listen to the fear and you're too scared and you do not express your feelings, but then in a way you're holding back the truth. If this is really your feeling, we're talking about truth again. You're not expressing a part of you that is really you.
This is so important. So like, this is the whole point which we are beating down the path of by having a communion, having an open conversation, a converse with ourselves, one another, and what's streaming through us as individual points of the creative source, right? So there was in the past, in relationship, in marriage and things, because it's our nature to commune with one another, of course. Of course, we're human beings, right?
Yeah.
So we would have so much shame because we would feel like once you're married, you're in a box, and we persecute ourselves for having any communications with one another. And yet we're opening to know that yet we have so many different tapestries of connection with one another. Each person is validated equally. And this is hard for us, for you, for everybody, for you, for everybody, for people who aren't watching this video, for people who aren't approaching this topic, suffering. It's suffering for us approaching because we feel the fear and it's hard. But yet,
but it's the only way. Like, you know, if you do not express your truth, like that's actually worse.
For me,
So
I
like what is worse if you're like holding back because you're scared, or you're actually expressing it, so you take a risk, and it requires courage to take that risk, to speak your truth, to express your feelings, even though you're scared, but that's the only way. And you kind of like naturally, there was like a natural filter to like the people who will resonate with your truth, and that's your feeling, and that's the truth about your feeling. And if not, then they don't resonate, and that's fine. So like a natural filter of the people who
you helped me the other day
who
because
can deeply connect with you.
Nicole helped me the other day because I have very strong feelings as a Venus and Scorpio. Yes.
Yeah, you do.
And so for me as a Venus and Scorpio, it was important that I was having very, not just like animalistic urges, but emotional heart feelings for people, right? And it was important that they were aware that I was having feelings for them and each other.
Yeah, speaking your truth.
And so it was to be, because I speak about this, and it doesn't mean that there's, as I say, this overblown scenario of what we might say is like sinful or glutton.
Which is a judgment too, like sin, whatever, that's a judgment.
Exactly. It's a strong word. And like actually astrologically it's a beautiful word once we get to the root of what it is. It's the sine wave, it's the astrology of time. It's the sign, that's what we're living. We're living the world of time. It's a long thing to explain.
Okay.
But when you're expressing transparency, we have a lot of fear. But it was so important, and it was received. Because when you actually speak truth rather than hold fear and deceive, we are deceiving of ourselves. And so it's refreshing, actually, of trauma to be open and to communicate these things. And it's a continual process to be able to keep communicating and keep being open. Sometimes you need a little bit of space because it's a bit challenging. And it has a lot of ammunition and feeling behind it all.
And you're facing the fear, basically.
Well, yeah, clearly, just communicating this with you right now, obviously,
Yeah.
right? This is a really high charged thing for me because the people, you, and the people that I have a relationship with, may be watching. You guys are dear to me, and it's sincere to me, and it's valuable to me. And all of our relationships are different in different ways, but yet they're all equal in value. And so it's important to be clear.
Yeah, it's important to be clear. And at the same time, you never know how they perceive it anyway. You perceive it, you see things through your eyes.
And things are always changing, like the weather of the transits. And so it's important that we're always present with the now and the current of the vibration and seeing how we are feeling and being clear with ourselves so we can communicate that out.
So I think the bottom line to the question you were asking about, like expressing the feelings despite the fear, I feel like is courage to do it, because it's worth it, because otherwise you're hiding your truth if it's really your true feeling. So it's like maybe another question to actually check in with yourself, if what you're feeling is it actually the truth, or is it a thought about yourself that may not even be true? That's like a whole different topic, how we perceive ourselves. And then when you do it, when you express your feelings, then actually be detached from however people perceive it, because you can do your best to say what you're feeling, but you can never know if they will understand it the way you mean it, if they understand it the way you want them to understand it.
Again, and that becomes this point of self-acceptance and respect for the other.
Self-love and compassion, and being like, I did my best. I kind of, maybe you messed it up, maybe, you know, and you're like, this is as good as I could do it in that moment.
And when you're beating down a path that's never been explored before, you make a lot of mistakes.
And you make mistakes, and it's part of the game. But
you do it with all your heart encourage, announce. Don't even really know what that word means. It means all those things. Announce.
Yeah.
Sticking your best forward, right? And
The best you can in that moment, and then maybe in the next moment in the
it will be
future.
done
but
differently,
it's
maybe.
gonna be different, yeah.
But the thing is, when you know your trajectory, you're going to keep doing your best and moving in that direction, whether it's playing the guitar, whether it's being a carpenter, whether it's making pancakes, or relating and connecting with ourselves and one another.
Or practicing yoga.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Or breathing in deep and being clear with ourselves, right? And nurturing ourselves.
And being kind of like forgiving, I think also, like, you know, I did this, I said this, not it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. You know, you have an intention and then you have the result that can be different. Result is different from your intention.
That's often sometimes can be better though, right? Like
that can be better, can be worse, depending. You know, you can say something. We talk to each other. We talked to each other. They had a miscommunication about how we're doing this whole thing.
We often miscommunicate. That's part of the fun, right? Because you get to learn and work through it.
We had like a moment where we didn't know, where are we recording the video? Are you coming over? Am I coming over to your place? No, you're not coming over. Well, I still here I am.
Well, it's been better than what
we made it work.
Maybe it was better than doing it on Zoom the way that I thought. Because I've enjoyed.
I don't know. I mean, this is how we did it now.
This is how we did it. This is how it's been done.
This is how it is now.
Well, thank you for being a witness to us witnessing ourselves.
We didn't have any script or any plan what we're doing today, so it's how it is.
Do you want to end with a card?
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the card gonna be for? Maybe
should we say, well, you could suggest, we've got these eclipses coming up, but I think that we should maybe talk about the subject at hand, like the card for humanity at this point with regards to learning about clear communications and relationships. Or would you rather something more personal?
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna depend on anyone who is listening in this moment.
Yeah, this can be for us all, like a guide for us all. Like,
so whenever this video is uploaded, we've been talking about relationships and your truth and expressing yourself. So we can make it, let's ask like a collective kind of question. What do we need to understand about expressing our truth and being true to ourselves?
I like that. It's a good call.
The card is going to be your response to that.
Well, we're going to do whatever cards come out. So it could be a couple and the bottom of the pack, right? Yes?
See.
Woo! So we got two and they bounced on my knee. I'm a Capricorn.
So
that's the knee.
This looks nice. I feel like I'm gonna like this.
Well, what is it?
I don't know, you tell me.
It looks like the 9 of Earth. It's the 9 Pentacles, which is all about 9, it's a circle with a tail spinning off. And so the circle is the complete story. And the spin-off is us being the great adapters of our story, going on a whole new journey, going up above and beyond with the wisdom which we've got about earthy things, which is about our value and speaking it, communicating it in a practical way, in a valuable way, in a way which honors the physical manifestation.
So there's a woman on the card and she is holding a bird. So what does that mean? What does that symbolize?
Well, the bird is blindfold, and so it's about the wisdom of intuitive experience and about rewriting the story as you go. You're guided and protected, and so it's about being a witness. Also got, as well as the bottom of the pack, which I haven't seen, we have the 5 of Fire.
Wow, so that looks like a fight. It doesn't look very friendly.
It could be combative, or it could be considered a martial art. It's more of a creative art, what they's doing. And so you can find that this is about being inspired and invigorated and going out on that heartfelt mission. This is very appropriate right now with regards to the sun currently kind of being with Jupiter, and it's about to have eclipse next to that as well.
So why are they, is there any interpretation of like why they are fighting. There's one guy, isn't there one guy fighting?
They aren't
others?
fighting in my book.
No?
They are practicing art.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess this is where your own perspective comes in.
Yeah, true.
So,
It's Jungian to use these tarot cards and see what jumps to the
yeah,
this practice, what we're doing. And so you look at those bushes. I mean, those sticks. They've got bushes. They're made of bushes. They're fertile. They're creative fertility. There's 5 of them. 5 is a ratio of creative 5. And so basically, we're using our hearts to express the fertility of our combat. It's combative, is a bit of creativity. See.
so this card, if you summarize it in 3 words, what would those 3 words be? Creativity.
Yeah. Combustive.
What does combustive mean?
Fire.
Okay. Creative fire. Very Aries.
Yeah, and it's like it's going on. It's like it's gonna come. Something's gonna come of this. It's like, you know, it's kicking off. It's
Kicking off. And so this is intuition, the blindfold bird. And
it's going on a journey. It's a very valuable wisdom. It's like I've got going on a very practical journey. This is the manner of my valuable wisdom, which
why
I'm
is
sharing.
it about a journey?
9.
Oh, so 9 stands for journey.
Yes.
And who is the woman?
So who's she to you?
I don't know. She doesn't look like a queen, you know, like, you know.
She looks like a maiden, right? She looks.
Yeah.
I'd rather be her than the queen.
Really? Sure. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's more relaxed to be her, probably.
Yeah, she's chilling.
Okay.
She might be going on a journey, but she's just going taking her sweet ass time about it. Bottom of the pack, we got the Ace of Wands. Bum ba da bum 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 bum. This one's going anywhere at once. Because it's the ace, and you give it to yourself when you're going this way, that way, or the other way. And because it's.
We had this before.
Yeah.
This month, last week, actually.
Yeah, it's Aries season.
I got this twice, this card.
Mm-hmm.
So this stands in one word. What does this card stand for?
Assertion and identity. That's not 1, that's 2.
Yeah.
You want a third?
Yeah.
I'm asserting my identity and I'm going forth.
Okay. So it's kind of, is it like a leadership card?
Yes.
So we have leadership.
Self-leadership.
Oh, interesting.
But others might follow, but that's not the point.
That's not the point. Yeah, it's nice. So we have, so would you say this stands for trust, do you think?
Yeah, you can put trust into that. It's beyond belief.
So I'm still wondering why.
It's experience, because
why?
it's beyond belief, because I don't have to believe. I've experienced it.
Why?
It's a bit like putting my weight on something. Can I put my weight on this thing? Yes.
Oh, okay. That's because she has her foot lifted. That's what you're referring to?
No.
No, but she does. Look, check it out. Okay.
Going out on a limb.
Yeah, she's not firmly standing on both feet. You can see that. And so
She's got trust.
she's got trust.
Yeah. She's adorned herself with trust. That bird's got to have trust to be sitting there with a blindfold on. You know, to be able to close your eyes, that's about trust, right? That's about knowing that it's all good.
Yeah, but
Where's the other card? The 5 of Wands.
She's not blindfolded. The woman, she's not blindfolded. Okay, 3 cards together.
Right, so we're asserting ourselves with the wisdom, which is practical as we go on our journey. Creating it as we go. I said we're just creating it as we go. No script, being open, communicating about it in an invigorating, inspirational way, which is wise and mature. And no one's done it. We're beating down the bush.
So trust, intuition, creativity, strength,
For sure.
and leadership.
Yeah, no one's done it like you. This is the point. No one's done it like me. No one's done it like Nicole. No one's done it like you, Tom, Dick, Harry, the other. So the point is, we just accept ourselves as we are, for our hearts, for the way that we are, for the belief systems, all the hooks, the crooks, and the kinks. It's all right. You're all right. I'm all right. You all right?
You are perfect. We are perfect the way we are. There's no other way.
So, for sure, each one of us. Thank you for paying attention to yourself and loving yourself in your way.
Thank you, Philip, for having me at your place to do this video.
Thank you for coming, Nicole, and bringing your homely vibes to my abode. I appreciate it. And
Went right into the kitchen when I entered your house.
right into the kitchen. It's also brought by cancer in the abode.
Yeah.
We had to have the tea, right?
Yep.
Well, it's a shame it's not, well, there's no shame, but it's gone cold now. We'll just have to make some.
I had my tea already. Okay, bye.
Thank you for your moments. Enjoy them. Cheerio. You are appreciated.